Hey everybody, this is Charles Marks, Marks Jewelry Company, and I am here with Mitch York, my accountant. Hi Mitch, say hi Mitch.
Hi.
And Catherine came by, we were going to do a regular jewelry related thing, and I thought, you know what, we're going to introduce Mitch and talk a little bit about basic stuff and kind of share that with you, so I hope it doesn't bore you to tears, but it's going to be relevant. So, I guess the first thing that my friends don't know is the difference between an EA, an enrolled agent, versus hiring a CPA.
Sure.
And I've had tremendous success with enrolled agents.
Mhm.
I've had mixed success with CPAs.
Sure.
And that's the reason I, hired you and got working with you. What is the difference?
So there's a couple of technical differences between an EA and a CPA. An EA is a licensure or a certification that's granted, not a certification, but a licensure that the IRS recognizes. So it's the highest level of licensure that the IRS can award. And an EA has unlimited representation rights before the IRS, just like an attorney or a CPA. So if a taxpayer is experiencing a problem, we can help them through all stages within the IRS.
And are you, as an enrolled agent, required additional ongoing training and education every
Right.
year?
So we have a certain number of continuing education credits that we have to achieve to maintain our licensure. The IRS looks at it very closely and makes sure that we're staying on top of current practices and knowledge and techniques within the field.
And they work on your golf putt?
Not at all. No, I have no golf putt whatsoever. But yeah, so we have an ongoing
The new tax laws that come
tax
out,
law.
that type of thing?
Exactly. New tax law, new techniques of representation. We have to do an ethics requirement every year.
Is that something the CPAs are also required by the IRS to do?
Not by the IRS, but by the state. So one of the big differences between a CPA and an EA is that the EA is licensed by a federal organization, whereas a CPA is licensed by the state.
Okay. And then something that I know about Mitch is that you are bilingual.
That's right.
And have a strong Hispanic opportunity to represent folks.
Sure.
If somebody has employees that may be Hispanic that need tax representation or help, is it something that you're able to do?
Right. So I've worked with the St. Louis area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and have been in touch with companies who need help with their employees who are Hispanic and may have some language and cultural issues when it comes to understanding how to fill out a W-4 or what their W-2 means and how to file their taxes and all the implications that are involved with payroll taxes.
Speak fluent
Spanish, right. So I can help their employees on site. I go to their place of employment sometimes and sit down with their employees, and I'm able to interact with them in Spanish and help them work through some of their concerns in a language and in a way that they're comfortable with.
Yeah. So that's Mitch. He's pretty awesome. He's helping me significantly get squared away and get things super tight. It's not always diamond, moissanite, wedding ring, repair, silver bullion. There's a real side of the business that requires this relationship, and this relationship has to be solid.
Mm-hmm.
For a little bit, some folks are running into situations where mom passes away, they are left with her assets, and by that I don't mean a checking account, I mean possessions. They bring them to us, they bring them to other places. Sometimes we're able to make an offer and buy the jewelry. Do you have any advice for anyone that's facing that or going through that?
Sure. So
in a general way.
Sure. In a general way, with somebody who inherits a property, the value of the property at the date of the decedent's death becomes the value that that person has in that, or the basis that they have in that property. So if they have a ring and it's worth $300 on the date of the decedent's death, that's what their value is. So if they sell that ring for $350 to you or anybody else, then they have a $50 gain, which may be a capital gain. That may be a taxable
They
event.
sell it for $100.
Then they would have a loss, but in this case, they would not be able to claim it on their personal taxes.
So what determines the value of the ring? If you brought me, let's make it personal. Let's say it's your sister or mom, you know, and I hope this didn't happen, but this, for the sake of the illustration, and you were told it had a $300 value, you bring it to me, and I'm like, it's $100. So what happens then?
So I would hope whoever's selling it would do a little bit of due diligence and do some research and find out what it would be worth on their own. So you're likely not going to give them a document or a tax document that you report to the IRS, but they will, or I'm assuming that you don't report it to the IRS, but
I don't, but I could give them a written appraisal.
sure, and that might not be a bad idea, but they would need that on to establish a value on the date of the death. So you would have to maybe do a little bit of research yourself. Whoever does it
Okay.
will likely be involved in doing a little bit of research to figure out what
So-
the value was on a particular day and
So
time.
that thing can be done better if it's handled beforehand.
Right.
They can help themselves as far as any kind of tax burden or final burden
Sure.
or whatever have you.
Sure. Yeah, and that's true of any product. So if I bought an asset from you and later sold it at a gain, I would be responsible for paying the capital gain. So it could be a short-term gain if it's an asset that I hold for less than a year, which is taxed at a normal tax rate. So if my normal tax rate is 22%, then that item would be, I would be responsible for paying that 22% on the gain. If I held the asset for a longer period of time, it would be subject to capital gains rate, which tends to be more favorable for most taxpayers.
All right. And then final question that comes up, and you may not have, this was thrown on Mitch. He had no warning whatsoever. Catherine showed up and he was here, and I said, this is what we're gonna do. So beware when you come in, you might wind up on Catherine's camera.
It's possible.
Not Candy's camera, Catherine's camera. And she's next, by the way. If I buy, let's say I accumulate, for easy math, 100 ounces of silver at a market value of, say, $27 an ounce, $2,700, spot value at, say, 22. Do I have any responsibilities or?
Sure, if you have a gain on it at the time of the sale, and this is true for anything, whether
But while
it's,
I'm holding it.
no,
Okay.
as the law is currently written, no. If there's a fluctuation in the value of the product while you're holding it, no, you don't have a reporting requirement. You would have a reporting requirement when a taxable event happens. So if you sold it, if you gave it to somebody, if it was part of an estate and it transferred to somebody else, then those would all be taxable events or something where it might trigger a need to know what the value of it is on that spot
And
value on
I'm
that
sure
day.
there's thresholds, dollar thresholds or ounces, weight thresholds that would trigger those. I could give my kid an ounce of silver without having to write a check to the IRS, I would assume.
Sure, yeah, and now you get into gift taxing, and that's a little bit more complicated.
I know.
But you can gift items up to a certain amount and not have a reporting requirement. The gift would be actually taxed on the giver, not on the recipient of the gift. So if you chose to give a lot of assets to anybody, there's a threshold that you wouldn't have to pay a tax, but you have a reporting requirement at a certain point, and then you do have a tax requirement.
So the bottom line is have a good accountant or enrolled agent And we'll leave his contact info somewhere in the thread. Catherine's nodding
Yeah,
at me
I'll put it
saying
in the-
that we can do that.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions that are related to anything tax related or anything, reach out. We'll answer them later. And I think that's it. I think we've done what we can do today.
Okay. All right.
Spur of the moment.
Yeah. No, thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.